Alright guys, welcome back. Now we're going to continue on with part 2 of episode, I believe this is actually 13 now. So we are going to continue building our command menu, and right where we left off was that the command menu has been constructed, and it was displaying in the menu, but it wasn't showing any of the text and things. So let's just go ahead and take a look into that so we can try to determine why it wasn't showing, and hopefully get you through that. So let's go ahead and we're just going to hit OK and just show you what the situation is here initially. So when we first open up the scene, it's already displaying, and the menu cursor in the background is still running. Now, why is that? That is because it's not active, or I'm sorry, we have not actually told it to call it yet, which means that we're not updating this window, because that window, if we look at it here as far as its update stuff, it's supposed to be calling that no matter what, but we haven't actually called that update process for it yet. So let's go back over to here, and so we created our windows, but we're not updating them. So let's just go ahead and create another one here called update windows. And we'll just go ahead and put it right here. And so we'll just go ahead and say command window.update, and that's the only window we're updating as of right now. So that should be all we need. Let's just go ahead and try that. Okay, so it displayed for a second and then disappeared. We click, and active equals for menu cursor. So let's go look into that. It could not set active equals. Okay, so we set the variable, but we didn't share it out with others. So we're going to go ahead and open that up with an attribute accessor, active, and we should be good to go. That just allows other people to edit it. Okay, we click it, and now we can see our stuff, and the select seems a little off. It's obviously thinking the window's wider than it really is, and yeah, so we can see each of our items in there though, so we've got good spacing, everything like that. So let's go ahead and let's change a couple of things about this. So number one, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open that back up, and we're going to tell it to update it right after it sets the background. That way it automatically hides itself accordingly, and we should be good to go. So we just call the update method, and then it automatically chooses to hide itself at that point, essentially. Alternatively, we can add it. Actually, I think over here is probably the better place to add it, is right after we create the window. We need to tell it to update because we told it to hide. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I had to go help my daughter. Anyways, let's see. So we were saying that we wanted to update the window right after creating it because it needs to hide itself before we actually get to see it. So let's go ahead and just apply that, and then let's go ahead and let's look at our width here. Could have swore. Okay, so it's actually only 140, so that's what we need to pass up here. So here this is 140, not 200. Okay, and that will actually fix the select window around it, so let's go ahead and take another look at that. Okay, so we talked to her, open it up. Obviously, note number one, we did not see that menu pop up before because we actually chose to update it before it showed the scene, therefore hiding it before the scene could render it. Okay, and now we've also got our cursor within the window as we want. So now the next thing we can do is we can go ahead and enhance this menu a little bit. So over here in our window, or in this folder browser here, I've got this file called hand.bng. So this here is just basically a picture of a hand, very similar to like your Final Fantasy type so that we can choose to use a hand icon in addition to the selection rectangle, or just the hand, so that you can have that. So that's what we're going to cover up next. The one other thing we could do, and that is just set the placement of the window as to where that displays. So we could come on down here when we create, or when we call up the window. So here's where we actually, yes, this here is where we actually call the window. So here we can actually set the X and Y. Excuse me. So here we can say .x equals 2 graphics.width minus command window.width. So basically that's saying on the right hand side. And then we're going to set it in the lower right hand corner. So we'll go ahead and say graphics.height minus command.height. Okay, so again, this is restricting it back to that specific size. So now this is actually probably going to put it so that it's more accurately sized. So the bottom of the background picture is probably going to hang off of the bottom of the screen. So just based on that. So we probably actually want it to be more centered, but we can go ahead and play around with that. So as you can see, it is down here in the bottom right hand corner now, but as I said, it is pushed off of the bottom of the screen. So we can go back in there and fix that by bringing it back up a little bit, as well as just modding our index to find out whether we should be on the right side or on the left side based upon where your cursor is. So we can go ahead and say x equals to, or better yet, let's do this. If cursor.index, and then it's going to be mod 5, since that was our number of characters, is greater than, let's see, 0, 1, 2, so greater than 2, then we want it to be on the left side, as in because it's on one of the last 2 characters. If it's less than that, then it's going to be one of the left characters, which means we want it to display on the right. So that is our else case for the right side, and so our left case would simply be equals to 0. Okay, we'll always use that the same way, and then we'll go ahead and give this a little bit of extra cushion so it can pull it up. You know, let's go ahead and let's center this. So let's take graphics.height divided by 2, and we'll take that and divide it by 2, and that should give us the center. Now this is something you'd normally just set once and be done with it, so we probably don't actually need to call it each time. Alright, so our menu cursor is not exposing its currently selected index. So let's add another here, index. Excuse me. Okay, let's go ahead and open that up. Clicky, and there we have it. It's centered on the right hand side. If we come over here and click, then it shows up on the left hand side. Our center characters is still going to render it on the right hand side because we put that it should be over there. Only if it exceeds the center character, which was index of 2. Okay, so now we've got all that, let's go ahead and get our hand to display. So let's come back down here to our window command, and then we're going to go ahead and say use selection and. Okay, and so that's just going to call a method. We're going to actually add that to window selectable, since that's where we want that. We're going to say class window selectable, because window selectable is where we actually have our selectable criteria. So we're going to come back down to here, window selectable less than window base, because we need to keep the inheritance the same as it was in the previous one. So just to make sure. Yep. Okay. So we're going to come back down here and we're going to create this new method here called useSelectionHand, and we'll provide it with some arguments on this side of it so that you can actually specify whether you want both the selection box as well as the other, etc. So let's go ahead and say useSelectionHand, and then we'll just say type, and we'll just set that equal to 0 again. So okay. Now let's go double check how they actually do the selection hand, or I'm sorry, where they how they set the cursor there. I believe it's just update cursor rect equals. Okay, so cursor rect is a local variable, possibly, or it's a method. So let's just go ahead. There's only 2 references to it. So let's come on down here. Okay, so it is a actual rectangle. So what we need to do is we need to say when we try to set it equal to something, that's when we catch it and do a little bit of something else to it. Okay. I wonder if we should actually just update this update cursor method so that we can have a little bit more control of it. I think so. I think we're gonna play with this here a little bit. Alright, so we're gonna say update cursor. We're gonna copy that, move that down here. Okay, so we're going to say selection hand equals sprite.new. Okay, we're going to repeat pretty much this same thing up here for this stuff. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to update all of those references to update hand. And then this one here is going to say if it's not equal to nil. Okay, and then down here we're going to say that. And okay, and then here we're going to say dispose hand. Change that to hand. Match, so you make sure you update all of the entries here, and. Alright, I think that's all of them. So now we're going to say bitmap equals, and we're just going to go ahead and say hand image equals hand. So that way there you can just specify the file name for it, and then we're going to say cache.system and image. Okay, and then we're going to set the image to that. So we're going to say bitmap equals bitmap. And so now we should have our hand available and displayed. And then it's going to go ahead and set that into the upper left-hand corner of the window when it as of right now, that's its current update routine. So we're gonna play with that a little bit. We need to keep that one obviously, since if it's not active, then it shouldn't be. If it's not visible, then the hand shouldn't be visible. So we'll keep that there. Okay, so now that we've got all that, let's go ahead and decide how we're going to handle this. So we're going to alias the update cursor, when select. And then we're going to say hand image, and then update cursor, unless $@ copy that, and so it's going to go through its normal method just like normal. And then what we're going to do is we're going to modify this ever so slightly. So we can say if selection hand not equal to nil. Oh, you know what we need to do is we need to save this type up here so that we know hand type equals to 0. I'm sorry, equals type, since we need to pass it in and get it. So here we can say if selection hand is not equal to 0, then we say if hand type is equal to 0. I guess if you wanted to, you could do a case hand type. Either or, it's not a big deal. Okay, and then we just say when 0, when 1, when whatever else. Otherwise, else, then do that. Okay? Although I don't think we need that. Alright, so if it is equal to nil, then we need to run the old method. Copy that into there, and then we're going to cancel, and then that's where we actually exit. So we can say here, if the hand type is 0, say hand type 0 is both selection box and hand, and this one here is just hand. Okay? So if we need the selection box, then we need to still have that. So we're going to move that up into here. Let's tab it over so that it looks nice and fancy. Okay, so if that's the case, then we want to do that and hide the cursor. So we're going to go ahead and say bool equals false, which means up here we're going to, you know what, let's do it this way. I like this better. What we're going to do is we're going to set this equal to self.index greater than 0. I'm sorry, greater than -1. So basically saying if I'm not -1, then display it. Okay? So now we've got that in there, and so down here, once we set the rect, we're also going to set the location of the hand. So we're going to say selection hand dot x equals rect.x, and we're going to copy that and do .y, and that should handle it. Now we probably need to push that down just a couple additional pixels so that it's a little bit more centered onto it. Alright, so I think that pretty much covers it. I don't think we need anything else. We're not going to be going through the hand, or just the hand. I guess we can actually, it doesn't really matter. So we go through the same process here. And then what we do is we take, you know, there's actually a little bit easier method of doing this. So we're going to do it that way. We don't need any of this, technically. Okay, so that is our cursor rect. So what we're going to do is we're going to call the old method, which is going to set that. Oops. Okay, then after that, then we're going to take the self.cursorRect.x, and we're going to set that, and same with this. And there you have it. And then over here, we're going to run the old method again. And then what we're going to do is say empty, so that it forces it to be empty. I believe that's the way they had it. Yes. Okay, so that's the method for clearing it. And then, you know what we need to do is we need to set the hand image location first, and then we empty it. Okay. Let's remove that end since we don't need it. And I I think that pretty much does it. So let's go ahead and take this, remove that, and now we've got our method. So let's make sure that this is in the accurate place. We've got our if, our else, and our close. Okay, so let's go ahead and check it out. See how it works. And it crashed, and I clicked OK before I saw the message. Undefined method update hand for window command. Update hand. See, that's what I get for not updating all of the lines. Alright, let's try that again. Okay, talk to her, get the extra characters. Okay, so we need to make sure that when we initialize the command window that we set the index to -1 so that the hand doesn't show. And then what we need to do is set the hand.x equal to the window location before we go any further. So let's update this again. So it should be here, self.x plus that. And here this should be self.y plus that. Self.x plus and self.y plus, and we should be alright. So that, and then we needed to update this over here in order to auto hide the index of that. It was under our create windows, so here we do dot index equals to -1. Okay. Okay, so now it's not displaying. We click, and now it's not displaying at all. Where is it? Let's see, it's gonna be back over here in this other one. Alright, so inside of here we need to locate where we've got the stuff. Let's see, we need to, I think we should be alright, but it's not displaying in the right place. Oh, you know what it is? It's because the Z location is appearing. It's because the Z is too low. So let's go ahead and adjust the Z location to be above it. So when we initialize it, we're just going to set the Z equal to self.z plus 1. Okay, the reason we do that is simply so that the the selection hand ends up 1 unit Z above the other one here. So let's just go ahead and try that out. And there we have it. It's still not quite centered just right though, so we'll adjust that a little bit more. We'll probably push it a little bit more to the left as well. So we're going to minus another 6, say, and we'll add another 4. So that was -6 and plus 4. Okay, let's try that one more time. Okay, I like the X placement, but the the Y placement needs to go down just a little bit more. We'll make that 16. We'll try that again. Although now that I think about it, that makes absolute sense because there's the buffer on the side of 16. So I still feel it's a little bit not quite far enough, so we're going to add just another 8 to it. It is 24, but this is just easier. So the first 16 is to get over the initial buffer. This one here is to actually get it more centered onto it. Alright, so I like that much better. So now you can see we've got that. And now if we want to, what we can do is we can come up here and just test the other half of the functionality when we create the hand. And we can pass a 1 to it so that we get just the hand rather than the hand and the selection box. And there you go. So I think that's going to cover it for today. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to go ahead and leave you with a little bit of our winner of the Creation Asylum Game Rally. His game was called Don't Drink the Water, and yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoy this, and yeah, we'll see you guys later. I forgot to mention that this is a cursor maze and you can't go into the black. Yeah, I kind of suck. I'm going to stop trying to collect those and just go through it. I think that's probably best anyways. But hey, it shows you the complexity of the game anyways. Don't touch the sides. He clipped me before I clicked him. Anyways, we will catch you guys later. See ya. Go enjoy this game, all the others as well.